Your brain doesn't fall in love because someone is good for you. It falls in love because something feels familiar. That person who makes your heart race. The one you can't stop thinking about. The one who feels like they just get you. The one who excites you since somehow also makes you uneasy at the same time. Your brain didn't pick them for their kindness, or their stability, or how they treat you over time. It picked them because they fit a pattern your nervous system already knows how to run. And once you see that, you stop asking why them and start asking, what part of me is this keeping alive? And once that question appears, you can't unsee it because it quietly starts changing what you do next. We like to talk about love as magic, chemistry, fate, the one. But falling in love is one of the most mechanical things your brain does. Neuroscience breaks it down into 3 systems that evolved for survival: not happiness, lust, attraction, attachment. You don't fall for them because they're extraordinary. You fall for them because they press a familiar emotional button, and your brain interprets that surge as meaning. But activation is not alignment, it's recognition of something you've lived before. And the body's always faster than your reasoning. By the time logic arrives, attachment has already started forming. They exist for reproduction, bonding, and keeping the species alive, not for choosing the best partner for your future. And here's the part almost nobody tells you. These systems don't have to point at the same person. That's why you can feel intense desire for one person, obsess over another, and feel emotionally bonded to someone completely different. You're not broken. Your brain is just running 3 programs at once, and you're calling the chaos connection. This isn't about cynicism, it's about seeing the machinery. Because when you understand why your brain lights up for someone, you stop confusing activation with compatibility. You stop thinking, if I feel this strongly, it must mean something. And you start asking, what part of me is this feeling keeping alive? That shift doesn't kill the magic, it gives you something better: choice. Real choice doesn't happen when the butterflies appear. It happens when you understand why they did. And this is exactly where most people make their first wrong turn without realizing it. Lust is the first system that fires. It's hormonal, fast, and not very smart. Testosterone, estrogen, timing, proximity. Lust doesn't ask if someone is safe, reliable, or capable of long-term partnership. It asks one question only: does this activate me? That's why attraction can ignite in seconds. A look held a little too long. A voice, a scent, the way someone leans in when they talk. Your body responds before your mind gets a vote. And your brain translates that physical response into meaning. Because activation feels like importance, and importance feels like destiny, which is why making long-term decisions at peak attraction is like grocery shopping while starving. Everything looks essential. Lust isn't choosing your future, it's reacting to what's in front of you. Attraction comes next. And this is where most people get stuck. Attraction is dopamine territory, the same chemical involved in gambling, scrolling social media, and checking your phone hoping a message is there. Dopamine doesn't reward having something, it rewards wanting it. And it spikes highest when the outcome is uncertain. That's why the person who replies instantly often feels less intense than the one who disappears, just enough to keep you thinking. Your brain isn't saying, this person is better. It's saying, this pattern is unpredictable. Stay alert, stay engaged. You call it chemistry. Your brain calls it a variable reward loop. This is where many people make their first serious mistake. They assume intensity means compatibility. If I feel this much, it must be real. But dopamine doesn't care about compatibility. It cares about anticipation. Strong feelings are a signal. They're not a verdict. That wasn't connection. That was anticipation. Here's a simple self-check. Think about the last person who made your heart race. Now ask yourself, did I feel seen or did I feel activated? Feeling seen is calm. It's solid. It doesn't require you to perform. Feeling activated is urgent. It requires you to do something. Prove something. Seen feels like exhaling. Activated feels like holding your breath. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Your brain doesn't just choose what feels good, it chooses what feels known. Psychologists call it pattern recognition. Your nervous system calls it home. You're drawn to emotional dynamics you've lived before. Not because they were healthy, because they're familiar. The way someone withholds affection, how they react when you're upset, what it feels like to work for approval. Known pain often feels safer than unknown peace. This is why calm can feel boring to someone raised around emotional chaos, and why stability can feel suspicious if love once had to be earned. A woman who grew up watching her mother chase her father's attention might find herself doing the same thing 30 years later, with a different man. Same script. This isn't blame. It's conditioning. And conditioning doesn't disappear just because you grew up. She's not choosing poorly. She's repeating the only version of love her body ever learned to recognize. This happens across genders. The pattern changes. The nervous system logic doesn't. Your brain isn't betraying you. It's trying to solve an old problem using the only tools it knows. And it will keep choosing the same type until the pattern becomes visible. Not everything familiar is safe, and not everything calm is empty. Attachment comes last. And it's the strongest force of all. This is oxytocin and vasopressin, the bonding chemicals. Attachment isn't about excitement, it's about regulation. Your nervous system learns to settle with another person. Their presence becomes your baseline. That's why breakups don't just hurt emotionally, they feel disorienting. Your brain isn't losing a person, it's losing regulation. A 2025 study found that women tend to form attachment bonds faster than men, which makes leaving more physically painful. Not emotionally, physically. Your body feels the loss like withdrawal. This is why people stay in relationships they know aren't working. Not because they're weak, because their nervous system is bonded. If calm feels like boredom, that's not a relationship problem. That's a nervous system still wired for chaos. This is the frustrating part. You can understand the pattern, name it, predict it, and still repeat it. Because insight doesn't rewire your nervous system. Repetition does. Your brain doesn't change from knowing. It changes from practicing something different long enough to feel safe. And here's the part no one mentions. Once you see the pattern clearly, the pull doesn't disappear. But it loses its grip. You stop thinking, if I feel this way, I have to act on it. And you start thinking, I feel this way, and I can just notice it. That's not detachment. That's clarity. Here's what that shift looks like in practice. You send a message. He doesn't reply for hours. Your brain doesn't think, he's probably busy. It thinks, did I say something wrong? Should I send another message? Maybe I should have phrased it differently. That's your nervous system on high alert. But once you see the pattern, once you understand it's dopamine, not connection, you can watch yourself spiral. And not believe it. The thoughts still come. The urge to check your phone still comes. But you recognize it for what it is. A loop your brain is running, not evidence of anything real. That's why growth feels uncomfortable. You're not broken. You're unlearning. So the real question isn't why them? It's how many more times am I willing to run this pattern before I try something different? Your brain will always pull toward what it recognizes, but every time you don't move, you teach it something new. Comfort feels like safety. Capacity feels like risk. But only one of them grows you.